crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horrors. Here's your sip of chaga coffee. Before I get started, did a discussion with Jenny Moonstone about silver yesterday. Check that out on the private road. Great stuff. Also about other things. We did another blind reading. She just nailed some of these. And said, wow. So check that out on the private road. As I've talked about in silver, we're approaching the end game of at least 170 years of silver price suppression. How will the end game look? There's various ways that they're trying to change the way the manipulation works. Currently, the top four, it's really about top eight, and you can interchange JP Morgan with Citibank, with Morgan Stanley, with Bank of America, with HSBC, with Deutsche Bank, although I think Deutsche Bank's pretty much out of the manipulation game now that they had to get bailed out behind the scenes. But you can interchange any of those banks on the COMEX, and they have done that. According to the investigation by the CFTC, they said, hey, this can't be manipulation because the big silver short changes hands. It's not always with one bank. Well, obviously, they collude together. The CFTC, I don't think they were too stupid. I think they were, they were stupid in their crimes. Their crime was to assist in the cover-up. What they did is reveal how it was done. It's a shell game where they pass around the silver short from bank to bank to bank to hide what's really going on. Massive artificial short positions on the COMEX, far bigger than any other commodity known to man. Ted Butler has been proving this since the 1980s. Believe it or not. He's been in this game a long time. If you're a silver investor, you owe a lot to Ted Butler. And when I hear people give Ted Butler shit, I'm like, are you kidding me? Usually it's like the arrogant analysts who think they know more. Ted has forgotten more than you guys know. So if you don't like Ted Butler, something wrong with you. You don't have to like him as a person. You got to love him as an analyst because he's the one who exposed the silver leasing game. He's the one who exposed the COMEX short position, concentrated short position, which is the number one proof that the price of silver is manipulated. It's in their own data. He beats them at their own game. So bravo to Ted Butler. Anyway, so the game is ending, though. The short position held by those four large traders, whoever they may be at any given time, I think Bank of America is one of them right now, is dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. They're clearly attempting to remove themselves from the short position. Now, who's going to take that short position? My guess is a wide variety of hedge funds in on the con, like BlackRock, for example, are lined up to assist in the next rig job, but it won't be at sub $25. It'll probably be between $50 and $100. If they lose control of it, we're talking thousands of dollars for each ounce of silver. That's the reality. They've printed so much money. And remember, silver's trading at 1/2 of its all-time high in 1980. Gold is over double its all-time high. Silver, because it's so more important than gold, is trading at 1/2, and they have to keep that lid on it. So the moment that the manipulation ends, which I believe is coming, it could happen in September, October timeframe. It could have already started. And that will coincide with all the other things that are going on. When Trump left as president and Biden took over, supposedly, I don't believe it's really truly what's going on. But as far as what we can see, Trump didn't want the system to crash on his watch because he needed time to weed out the bad guys. And yes, many arrests have been made that he hasn't told you about. He needed time to save a whole bunch of kids that were in deep trouble, which he did. And so he needed time. And then ultimately you're going to need a crashing of the system. If it crashed on his watch, it would be not just blaming him, but it would be blamed on capitalism in general. Now that has flipped. Now with their $5 trillion stimulus package and the absolute destruction of the capitalist system by the socialists and those looking, the bad guys as I call them, who have taken down, destroyed a huge amount of business. Small businesses are the backbone of American capitalism. You destroy those and you win. So all this stuff with Fauci and stuff, that is all about destroying the middle class and destroying small businesses, because that's how the socialists win. Trump said, hell no, you're not going to do that on my watch. So when it all falls apart, it's got to be on the socialist watches, which we are right now. We are run by a socialist, I don't even know what you call it, a wannabe socialist government set of controllers. It's even worse than socialism, though. They're killing off people, for Christ's sake. Anyway, so this huge job miss as U.S. adds just 235,000 jobs. Remember, all the numbers out of the BIS, the Bureau of, is it the BIS or the OCC? BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics. They can write anything they want. It's not a real number. It never has been. So when they say that, oh, it was a huge miss, something is askew, they wanted the system to be weakened. That's what just happened. Huge job miss as U.S. adds just 235,000 jobs in August. And sure enough, moments ago, the BLS reported that in August, just a paltry 235,000 jobs were added, far below the 725,000 expected, even below the most pessimistic forecast. What does that tell me? Somebody is in charge of this, and somebody is looking to basically destroy the system. And this is how it starts. It is a Friday. The price of silver jumped on the news 50 cents. You might be saying, 50 cents? Bix, that's nothing. Remember, silver's not freely traded at all. So a price jump of 50 cents, that doesn't mean anything until you hit the $26 range, which is now only $1.50 away. Because at $26, silver will cross over the 50-day, 100-day, and 200-day moving averages. And then all the other people, right now it's just manipulators in there. That's all you got, is manipulators trading back and forth with each other. When it jumps over those moving averages, all the tech funds come in, the brain-dead retirement accounts saying, oh, silver's, it's past its moving averages, so we're going to get in. Now, will they get their hands on any is the question. Because when it goes over 26, I think it's going to have the power to bust through 30, which will bring it right up to 50, and that's going to be the next threshold. Oh, by the way, at 30, we stopped giving away the Road to Ruta coins. If you're a private road member and want to subscribe, I suggest doing it fairly quickly. And buy your silver now. Oh my God. Especially it's a Friday. I can see, if there's more bad news announced after the close of business, Andy Schectman's going to be sold out again this weekend, is my prediction. There's a prediction for you. If you don't have physical silver, go to your local coin shop and buy it today. Yeah, if you don't have a dealer local, you can use mine, Andy Schectman, and send him an email, Andy, A-N-D-Y, at milesfranklin.com, milesfranklin.com. And buy what he's got in inventory so he can send it to you. And stick to the smaller denominations. My favorite is the pre-65 coinage. Why? Because it's U.S. money. It's made by the Mint, not the Federal Reserve System. And there's a zillion other reasons why it's fairly cheap, although I heard the premiums are going up. So keep that in mind. Why are premiums going up on Eagles and pre-65 coinage? Could we be going back to some kind of gold, silver / monetary system? You're going to want some. If we are, I believe we are. That's what's in the Road to Ruta comics. At least gold. Because we have so much gold. There's so much more gold than what they're telling you about. They tell you there's 200,000 tons of gold that's been mined in history. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Ever. There's millions of tons of gold that have been mined and millions more tons in the ground that we've already identified and locked up in military bases, in the Grand Canyon, in desert wildlife preserves. Dianne Feinstein was infamous for doing that. 41% of California is owned by the federal government because it's very rich in gold. Keep that in mind. All right. Moving on, really interesting stuff. The silver deliveries, and would be day 3 of the delivery. They're only down to 730 contracts left to deliver. Now, anybody and their mother can go into the COMEX through a broker. You have to have a COMEX trading, however they do it. You need to be approved, or you can go through your broker and buy a silver contract today and have it delivered. You can stand for delivery the same day. So the good guys can go in, for example, next week, the week before September 11th, buy 100 million, 200 million, a billion, 5 billion ounces of silver in demand delivery. If they have enough people, enough entities, go in there with 50 people and each take the minimum. I think its maximum withdrawal is either 10 million ounces or 20 million ounces, and say, I want all the silver you got, and they don't have very much left. And that can happen in one day. And then I believe they have till the end of the month to deliver. Of course, the CME COMEX will shut down, change the rules, do whatever they need to do to survive, because they're on the hook. They're the guarantor, and they have no money. They're a guarantor of trillions of dollars in transactions. But what good is a guarantee? I could write you a guarantee, and oh shit, what was it? Oh, it was from Tommy Boy. You want a guarantee? Hell, I can slap a guarantee on this thing. But what's it worth if there's nothing backing it? The CME COMEX Corporation, how much reserves does it really have? Can it withstand the trillions of dollars of fraud that's going on? No, it cannot. So they'll change the rules, which they do all the time. The CME is just as corrupt as the criminal banksters and as the regulators, the CFTC. They're all in the game together. The CME is supposed to be self-regulating. Why would you allow banksters to self-regulate themselves? That's like giving the mouse the keys to the cheese factory and say, hey, don't eat any cheese. It's not funny. It's sad. It's sad that we've stood for this for so long. The most pathetic people in the silver industry are the CEOs of the silver mining companies that have seen the price of silver decimated for the 20 years I've been in this market. I've been screaming about it. They kicked me out of their big conference because I was screaming at the frickin' CEOs. It's your frickin' industry. I wasn't even in that industry. It's your industry, and you let these assholes destroy the price of your only commodity? Are you idiots? That's what I sounded like in the hall room, speaking to hundreds of CEOs and mining company executives. They didn't like that. So what happened? They had a rigged price for the last 20 years. They should all, not all of them. Keith Neumeyer, bravo to you. There's a couple that are okay. But every other CEO executive of a silver mining company should be tried for treason. At least fired for incompetence, for not shouting that the price of silver has been manipulated the entire time, and it's an effectless industry, meaning they have no power, they have no gumption, they have no pride, they're an embarrassment to any business. If you were in, imagine what would happen in, I used to say in the shipping business, because they were tough assholes in the shipping business. But they gave the determination of freight rates to COMEX contracts. They turned it into a game, and they lost control. They just weren't smart enough. Futures and derivatives contracts are fraud put together by the banksters to control price of everything. Everybody needs to stand up and say no more. Do not let the banks rule your life. Get out of the banking system. Get physical silver in your own possession. Get cryptos in your own possession. If you don't have both, and I am highly guilty of not keeping my ratio properly. I want 50-50 ratio. But cryptos have run so high, I'm way out of whack. I need to buy more silver. And I'm in the process of it. Every day I buy more silver and more silver. I'm not saying I think silver will go up faster than cryptos. I'm not saying that at all. There are scenarios where cryptos are outlawed. There aren't any scenarios where silver is outlawed. Why? Because we need it. Sure, they outlawed gold in 1934 because you didn't need it. It was only used as money and jewelry. Silver you need. It's in every electronic instrument out there. It's in flat screen TVs. It's in solar panels. It's in electric cars. It's in smart bombs. You cannot outlaw silver. They did it gold. They couldn't do it today, obviously, because it's a globalized market now. Back then, 1934, it wasn't that tough to do. All it was used for is money. And what happened to the price of gold everywhere else? It skyrocketed. Well, the U.S. tried to control the price of gold, all circling around Federal Reserve System and why it was set up. It was set up because they found billions and billions of ounces in the Grand Canyon, ounces of gold. Billions of ounces of gold in the Grand Canyon. They set up the Federal Reserve System to control that situation. And then the Federal Reserve System lost its charter in 1929, 1930, and they had to confiscate gold. And they did. People said, well, yeah, it all went to the Federal Reserve. It did back then, and then that's in 1933 that happened. And then in 1934, the U.S. Treasury confiscated it from the Federal Reserve System. Federal Reserve is not supposed to own any gold. It's the U.S. Treasury that has 8,000 tons of gold. Oh, my God. People sneeze 8,000 tons of gold. Look how much gold is traded every day on the COMEX. Look how much silver is traded every day. Look at that. I mean, even in these it's a very quiet time in silver. Only 40,000 contracts traded hands. That's 200 million ounces. That's a massive amount of silver trading hands. But it's all fake. These are banks trading back and forth to each other, colluding, using a company called Virtu Financial to do the electronic trades. Vinny Viola. I hope everybody knows who that is. All right, moving on. So we are just about done with the silver delivery. I mean, almost 5,000 contracts have been delivered already, very quick. That's the majority of the contracts. There's only, 700 left? 753 left. So the number will come out to right around 30,000 or 30 million ounces of silver delivered, which is the lowest for the year on a delivery month. Why? Because they're running out of silver. They just don't have it. The shell game is almost over. Keep an eye on the price of silver. Keep an eye on COMEX shutting down. I think at some point they'll just shut down. If the big four don't short into the rise over $26, then it's game over for the criminal cabal. And that might be what they're shooting for. I don't know. But definitely a September to remember coming up. Who's the big criminals? Their names are right here. Where do we go? The big delivery people. You can see them throughout the year. Obviously, JP Morgan runs the show right now. Morgan Stanley is a huge player. Delivered 2,700 contracts just this month. They were the big sucker. Most of it went to JP Morgan customers who took 3,300. JP Morgan is the big kahuna. Yes, they got fined for silver manipulation, $920 million, and yet they are still allowed to be the custodian of SLV silver. So you have the biggest criminal in silver, admitted, is the entity that BlackRock has put the entrusted such an important position of holding the largest ETF, silver ETF in the world, silver. What's wrong with that picture? Where's the fiduciary responsibility of BlackRock to find someone who is an upstanding citizen to hold that amount of silver? The largest silver stash in the world is given to the biggest silver criminal in the world. What the hell? If you look at BlackRock, it's made of many government cronies. Many of the silver riggers end up at BlackRock. Other big criminals, HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, started the silver manipulation back in the 1850s. Other criminals, let's see, Goldman Sachs, obviously. I think Goldman Sachs was taken out in the March contract. That's their only delivery. and they got basically screwed. That's when Jeff Curry, the analyst for Goldman Sachs, came on the news and said, "Oh no, all the shorts are the silver ETF authorized participants from SLV. That's illegal." Why isn't he in jail right now? I don't know. Well, it's because the regulators should be in jail too. So we know the players. Citibank obviously is in there. Credit Suisse doesn't play a big role, but Scotia Capital, they've already announced they're out, and yet they're still involved. It's hard to get out. Bank of America Securities has been leasing silver from J.P. Morgan in massive amounts to curtail the problems they're having with their short position. Bank of America will probably be the fall guy, and they are too big to fail bank, so keep an eye on that. I think Wells Fargo has other issues, but I think Wells and Bank of America are going to be the bank fall guys. And you take those too big to fail banks going down, it's over, unless we have a government bailout, not a Fed bailout, but a U.S. government bailout. So that's where we are. Theta, I want to show you something really interesting. Theta is back over $7. Yes, it's going to thousands of dollars. You just got to wait and be patient. They're doing everything right, including selling off a huge chunk of Theta Labs. Theta, you can see it right here. They just withdrew 28 million Theta from the Guardian Validator. 28 million. But they announced it on their Twitter and on their Medium announcement is Theta Validator unstaking to accelerate future ecosystem growth. So they're going to use this to grow the system. They're going to spend their own money, literally, to grow the Theta system because they know how huge it is and know how important it is. And what will they be using these 28 million? I think part of it will go to funding, finally, the Coinbase opening of trading in Theta, but also a lot of other things, including advertising. Now, they've done this before. They did it right here. Last year, in August 2020, Theta Labs announced its plan to unstake 30 million Theta tokens to fund the ecosystem. So they're doing it again. What happened last year in Theta? August of last year. Let's take a look. In August of last year, August 2020, Theta was 40 cents. Now, do you think it was a good move? 40 cents in August, and it just took till October to double. And then in January and February, you got your 10x move, and then you had a 40x move. So is it a good idea? Absolutely. Can we use another 40x move in Theta and then to pull back it's something more? I think it's going to $88 this year, and it's at 7. So it's got at least 10x to move up. And it could overshoot like it did at $15. A lot of people saying, hey, Bix, it's not 88, it's 888 by next year. It could be. I'm not saying when. I do think Theta will go into the thousands. Theta is absolutely necessary, especially with all this new information about the low Earth satellites and all the space junk out there. I mean, I've always said you have a whole bunch of satellites up there, and people are blowing up satellites. I think Russia just blew up another satellite. All that space debris floating around, you can't, especially all the low Earth. How easy would it be for China to shoot down a couple of Elon Musk satellites in the same orbit? All the space junk flying into other space junk. It's like that ping pong ball effect or the mousetrap effect. Well, with the ping pong balls, and everything goes off at the same time, and poof, you got no satellites left. Space junk is going to take out many satellites, and the more it takes out, the more space junk there is. This was in Cliff's data, and he has the governments going up there and cleaning the debris fields at some point. Because it just, you won't be able to get out of the Earth atmosphere either. You won't be able to fly your, special whatever we got, the secret spacecraft we have in the Space Force. I don't know, but all I know is Theta is absolutely necessary. Even with Elon Musk's Starlink, you have to have ground. I mean, not everybody's not going to have a big satellite sitting on their car or on their cell phone, and that's how you need a receiver. So, lots going on, and Theta's right in the middle of it. You know, they're being advised by, I think, some people behind the scenes too. We've done some remote viewing on that. Jenny's talked about that. It's absolutely true. So do I see a 10x move for Theta this year? Yep, up to $88. When will it happen? I don't know. Will it crash down to $1 first? I don't know. I'm a hodler. I hang on for dear life. Just keep in mind, last time Theta did this, we had a 40x move. So they're doing it again. And a 40x move, 4 times 7 is 28. I can handle $280 Theta. Could you? And Theta Fuel, you know, with new T-drop, that's going to add more and more reasons to have Theta Fuel. Just keep that in mind. More Theta Fuel will be burned in NFTs. So Theta Fuel right now is kicking out the most as far as returns for staking, by far. Like over double what Theta is. But then again, with Theta, you're also earning some T-drop tokens if they'll be worth something. Jenny and I talk about that in the latest reading, which I will be posting today. Oh, also today at 10 o'clock, I will be doing a live stream. I will put out the link via the private road, on the private road, not the private road, the public road, right here on the left. You can sign up for updates with your name and email. I'll put out the link, send it off to all the email people, and put it on Twitter. And I'll put it, I can't put it below this video, but this video won't have it. Go to my Twitter account, Road to Ruta Twitter, or just sign up. Put your name and email address in at roadtoruta.com, and you'll get free updates, and I'll have the link there. But that is today at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, which is 1 o'clock Eastern time in the U.S. All right? And finally, I wanted to talk about, really quickly, great interview on Alien-like. Alien-like one-on-one interview with Andrew Lundy. Lundy? I don't know how he pronounces it. But he's been a Road to Ruta member for a long time, and he gives a great shout-out to Road to Ruta. He's a programmer who works for SAP, one of the largest enterprise software implementation companies. I don't even know how to describe SAP, except every corporate job I ever had dealt all the time with SAP and was involved in. It's a big corporate software. I don't even know what you call it, but he works for SAP Technologies. Looks like ambassadors. He's working with Theta, the Theta micropayments. He's trying to integrate them, and great guy. Check out the interview. He's been he's emailed me a few times in the past in the early Theta days, and he does credit Road to Ruta for turning him on to Theta, but he ran with it like nobody I've heard of. He's kicking ass in corporate America because everybody's going to have to figure out how to adapt to the blockchain, and those who start early, the big corporations that start early, are going to be on the leading edge of everything, and he's doing a great job there. Check out the interview at Alien Like is the YouTube channel. All right? And the guy at Alien Like loves Theta and Theta Fuel, which, of course, we all know everybody should. Anyway, buy your Theta, buy your silver, buy your Theta Fuel. And again, 10 o'clock today, I will be doing a live stream. Later today, I will be posting the Jenny Moonstone videos on the private road page. This one we'll talk the first half about silver. Second half is blind reading on some amazing things. We do talk about T-drop. So check that out. It's BixWeir, roadtoruta.com. I'll talk to you later.